Ever get that, that kind of nagging feeling, like deep down, just a flicker of doubt that makes you question, like, everything about your relationship?
Oh, absolutely. Those insecurities can be tricky.
Yeah, and we all experience them in our own way. So today, we're going deep on this, diving into a listener's research on navigating those tricky relationship insecurities. And it's not about pointing fingers, right? It's about understanding where these feelings come from and how we can work through them to build even stronger connections.
Exactly.
So we've got 5 tips to dig into, all about tackling these insecurities. And they sound simple on the surface, but something tells me there's a lot more to them, don't you think?
Definitely not just surface level.
Yeah,
Think of these tips as tools, not instant solutions, more like building blocks for a stronger foundation in your relationship.
I like that. A toolkit for like connection building.
Exactly.
Okay, so first step is acknowledge your insecurities. Seems straightforward, but what does that even look like in practice?
It's about tuning into yourself, like really paying attention to those feelings instead of brushing them under the rug. But here's the catch. It's about knowing the difference between a feeling and a fact.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Just because we feel something doesn't necessarily make it true. For example, if your partner's been super busy with work lately and you're feeling insecure, it's easy to jump to they're distant or they don't care.
Oh, yeah, totally. Been there.
But acknowledging your insecurity means hitting pause before that thought spiral and asking yourself, is this really about them or is this my own insecurity kind of popping up?
That is such a good point. Recognizing our own patterns instead of projecting them outwards. Which, speaking of communication, takes us to tip number 2, communicate openly. And this one feels a little tougher, Like how do you bring up those sensitive topics without turning it into a blame game?
It's about creating that safe space.
Yeah.
You know, when we feel safe and heard, we're more likely to open up without that fear of judgment. And that's where I statements can be so powerful.
Tell me more about that.
So instead of saying, like, you're always at work and you make me feel neglected, try shifting it to I. Like, I feel a little disconnected of you working so much lately. I miss our time together. See the difference.
Huge. It goes from blame to like expressing your own experience.
That
And that ties into building trust, which I know is a big theme in this research.
100%.
Yeah.
Trust grows when both people feel heard and understood, validated in that feeling.
So true. Okay, the next tip feels big, like life lesson big. Work on self-confidence. What do you think? Because that's not a one and done kind of thing, right?
It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Exactly.
But what's important here is that a lot of the time our insecurities come from within us, not just the relationship. So it's about recognizing that the stronger our own self-worth is, the less those external doubts can get to us.
Building up that internal resilience. I love that. Okay, and this next one feels especially relevant these days with social media and all. Avoid comparison.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, it's highlight reels, picture perfect moments.
Mhm.
It's easy to fall into that trap of comparing your relationship to someone else's highlight reel.
And it's never the whole picture, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about remembering that every relationship has its own strengths, its own challenges.
Yeah.
Focus on what makes your connection unique and special.
Yes. Celebrate your own path, not someone else's curated version. Love that. And finally, seek reassurance when needed. Emphasis on the when needed. It's not about constantly needing validation, right?
Right. It's healthy to talk to your partner about your needs. But if you're constantly seeking reassurance just to feel okay, it can actually keep you stuck in that cycle of insecurity.
Interesting.
The goal is to build your own sense of security, not rely on someone else to constantly provide it.
It's about finding that
Right.
balance, right? Communicating your needs, but also cultivating your own inner strength. I'm realizing how interconnected all of these tips are. It's not just about surviving insecurity, it's about using it for growth and deeper connection.
Exactly. It's about looking inward, understanding yourself and your patterns, and then using that knowledge to build even stronger relationships.
I love that. So, as we resurface from this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with the thought to ponder. What's one small step you can take today, inspired by what we've talked about, to feel just a bit more secure in your relationship? Maybe it's practicing self compassion. Maybe it's that open and honest conversation. Remember, even the smallest steps can create big ripples.